You mentioned Pat Paulsen. Now, the reason that you probably are here on Hometown Movies is the fact that you were involved with a film project here locally with Pat Paulsen that myself and the people from Hometown Movies were involved with as well. How did you first run into Pat?
I met Pat about 4.5 years ago, the first time he worked at the club in Holly. And he was working just a weekend. We brought him in just for a Friday, Saturday night, one show each night. And he was one of our first, what we call big name acts that we brought in. He was of that genre where a lot of our customers could relate to Pat and wanted to see his show and remembered him from Smothers Brothers and his presidential campaigns. Well, being the first big act, then we booked him a suite at the Hyatt, and we went all out, you know, trying to make it his first time to this area very comfortable. And on Sunday, after he did the Saturday night show, my wife and I asked him, what do you want to do on Sunday? We were going to take him out to dinner somewhere, or for brunch, you know, whatever Hollywood types did on Sunday. And he asked us, well, what do you normally do on Sunday? And I basically said, well, we build a campfire and have hot dogs and sit around. We don't do much. And that's where we began. He said, if you don't mind, I'd rather do that than go to a restaurant. I live in hotels. And we went out, we built a campfire, and we stayed up until about 4 in the morning talking, and we found out that he's not much different than everybody else. He's had highs and lows and problems and everything else. And we became friends very quickly. It was one of those types of things where you know when a situation's right for friendship to develop, and that's certainly what happened. And since that time, every time he comes back, he stays at the house with us, and we sit out and cook hot dogs and make campfires. But that's where we met, is through booking at the club.
Now, you were involved with running him for village president out in Holly. What's that story about? Well,
Pat has a tremendous strength. It's a gift almost with double talk. And one of the things I noticed with Pat, he was in Greece with my wife and I when we were married. He was my best man. And I didn't realize what a strength he had until I watched him talk to other people who couldn't speak English. And when he was done talking to this congregation of Greeks that couldn't understand a word he was saying, I was on the ground laughing. I've never laughed at anything so hard in my life. And he came back and I said, what was that all about? And he said, oh, just my political stuff. He said, it's universal. It works in all languages. They had no idea what he was saying. And when the local village election was coming up, there was only one person running for village president. And it was a shame that we thought that she was running unopposed. Plus, it was a chance just to have nothing more than a laugh. We had no hopes of him getting elected. We spent a total of $11.76 on the campaign. He promptly installed me as his Michigan campaign coordinator. And we just had a laugh out of it. I mean, it was nothing more than just having a little bit of fun. And we got 12 votes. We paid less than $1 a vote for our votes, so we're real happy with the outcome.
I think in the last gubernatorial election, the winner paid something like $7.80 a vote, so you're doing real well.
Yeah, we're way above the averages, way below the averages, actually. Yeah. It was fun, just to have a little laugh.
So tell us about the film project. Pat was in town filming for a couple of days.
Right.
We all went out in the field with him shooting. So how did that happen?
That happened, my wife and I went out to Los Angeles, and we met Pat out there, and it was right at the time the premiere was happening in Flint, but I think either before or after that.
Premiere of Roger.
Of Roger and Me, I'm sorry, right. Okay. And we were in Los Angeles, and Pat said, hey, did you see the new movie about Flint, your area? And we admitted no, it had just been released. So we went to the theater that day and watched the movie. And it was kind of weird. Here I am in California watching this. There was a lot of people I knew in the film, and customers were appearing in the film. And here we are 3,000 miles away. And as we left the theater, we engaged ourselves into a conversation, which I think a lot of people do once they see that movie and they're from this area. They have all their comments that they need to talk about or discuss their feelings about it. And Pat's first reaction to the movie was, gee, don't you feel awful about that? And I said, no, I think it's great. Any publicity is good publicity, even if it has a negative slant to some people. It talks about our area, and there's nothing wrong with that. And he said to me, geez, I wonder if we could find Michael Moore and talk to him about it. He's probably out here at some party. And I looked at Pat and I said, geez, maybe you ought to make a movie, called Me and Michael. Why don't you go look for Michael Moore, It would be almost as big as Night Patrol, the last movie he made, And
I missed that one.
So he didn't miss much, yeah. It wasn't exactly a box office phenom. But he laughed about it, and we went to a bar and had a beer and we talked about it. And he said, you really think that would work? And I said, well, I have no idea. I can't take a still photograph. You don't look to me for guidance.
You're the professional. You tell me if it's any good. Yeah.
And he's always working on this side of the camera. He's never operated anything more technical than an 8-track tape deck. So there was nothing much he could do with it. But we talked about it for a couple weeks, and when I got back to Flint, I made a few phone calls to some people that I knew who put me in touch with some people, and we decided to do it.